The Toronto Raptors top their back-to-back wins over the Milwaukee Bucks by taking down the Eastern Conference 1 seed Philadelphia 76ers. So, is it safe to say the Toronto Raptors are back? Let's get into it. Welcome to the Raptors Roundup, the segment on the channel where we round up the Raptors game from the night before on Amateur Sports, the channel where you get NBA content with a focus on the Toronto Raptors. So if you like what you see from today's video at any point and you want more of myself talking about the Raptors in videos just like this, make sure you hit that like button to help us spread the word of the channel and subscribe for more videos just like this. We also do a ton of live stream watch alongs like the watch along we did for the game last night against the Philadelphia 76ers. Check out all of the great content you missed out on in the stream. Boucher! Oh my god! Boucher is on fire! Bonjour! Some great content there that you don't want to miss out tomorrow as we live stream the back-to-back versus the Philadelphia 76ers yet again. Be there for a very fun time with myself and chat, so make sure you're subscribed to stay up to date. So let's get into our Raptors roundup. You know the deal at this point. We're going to take you through a brief overview of the game, go through a synopsis of the events that transpired in said game, and then we are going to leave you with 3 key takeaways to move on with for the future. So let's get started. Kyle Lowry is still day-to-day out for this one against his hometown Philadelphia 76ers, but the Raptors have been rolling in the absence of Kyle Lowry, and they are 15-0 in their last 15 games when Kyle Lowry is not playing. And we also have OG Anunoby back for this one, and he was sorely missed in the game against the Minnesota Timberwolves. I mean, the Minnesota Timberwolves didn't put up a lot of points, but OG Anunoby, his presence is definitely felt when he's there, and it's great to have him back, and it's great to see him like, it's getting back to that 100%, not quite knocking down shots like he was before his injury, but it's great to see him getting back to what he was. And the Philadelphia 76ers came into this one with a 20-10 record. The Raptors come into this one with a 500 record at 14-14. For the first time in the season, the Raptors are 500. So could they improve onto that heading into the first quarter as we progress to our synopsis of the game? In the first quarter, the Raptors came out with the small ball approach, and I was nervous about the small ball approach because if there's one team you can't really play small ball against, it's kind of the Philadelphia 76ers. The Raptors rolled with VanVleet, Bembry, Powell, Anunoby, and Siakam, and we're playing a team who has Joel Embiid in the paint, so I thought it would be a problem, and it was, as Philadelphia came pretty hot out of the gates. They were really making an emphasis to play the ball down low. I mean, they did their homework on that coming in. Doc Rivers probably addressed this in the pregame. Get the ball down low to Embiid, beat them up in the paint, and see where that gets you. And early on, the 76ers were dominating the Raptors, and the Raptors, who were generating good looks, I will say, they were generating good looks early on in the first quarter, but weren't getting the shots to fall down. Like Norman Powell, who is the king of first quarters, really struggled in this first quarter here. Uncharacteristic of him. I know he'll bounce back, but the Raptors found themselves a little bit in a hole down 11-2. Now, it's not unlike them to go into a hole early. They call a timeout. They come out of timeout, and they start getting buckets. Like Siakam is a man on the mission in the first quarter, but he doesn't get a lot of help, and the 76ers continue to pile on. The Raptors came out of that timeout and immediately put on Aaron Baines to help combat Joel Embiid. And Baines, he had a pretty good game. I ain't gonna lie. Aaron Baines had a pretty good game on defense, got a bit of points, but Aaron Baines' defense was key for the Raptors here, but wasn't that key of a figure early on as the 76ers kept piling on the points and pulled out to a 24-12 lead. That is when we went with the big ball lineup. Absolutely a 180 on the game we started with the small ball. We have Baines on the floor already. We add in Chris Boucher as well. We have Baines and Boucher on the floor together, and this is where the Raptors start to eat. Down 24-12, they go on an absolutely unprecedented run on the back of some natural shooting from Fred VanVleet. Like 4 threes, I believe he hit late on in the first quarter. Even a ridiculous turnaround 3, deep turnaround 3 as the shot clock expired, like just an absolute Hail Mary heave, and gets the bank to go. Fred VanVleet could not miss late on in the first quarter. The Raptors went on a run that saw them go from 24-12 down to 28-24 in the lead by the end of the first quarter. It was also a quarter that the Raptors were down 22-8, and people in chat were calling the game over. People all over the media were saying the game's over. The 76ers were going to win this one, but the Raptors did not die and got themselves back in the lead. As we start out the second quarter, the Raptors offense continued to flow and got themselves out to a slightly bigger lead. They were up 37-32, but that's when our offense went a little bit cold, and that's when Philly's offense started getting buckets again. The refs started giving them a ton of free throws. Ben Simmons started making a difference in this game, was more influential here than the first quarter. Joel Embiid kind of struggled to put up points at periods in this game. Didn't shoot particularly well because of Aaron Baines' great defense, but Simmons really started piling it on the Raptors. And the Philadelphia 76ers had a great quarter from an offensive standpoint. The Raptors did not really have that great offensive quarter. I mean, Fred VanVleet, who had a quick 13 points in the first half, all I think in a 2-minute period, he had those 13 points, but in the second quarter, didn't register any points for himself. And Siakam, who also started the game 6 for 8 from the field, really cooled off and missed 4 consecutive shots here in the second quarter. Also struggled. The Raptors offense just didn't quite look like it did in that little pocket in the first quarter. And for that reason, the 76ers win this quarter 31-24 and pull themselves out to a decent advantage. I mean, this one stayed close, and it was close throughout the second because of the great finish the Raptors had to close out the first quarter. And we roll into halftime. It's only 55-52 in favor of the 76ers. There's so much basketball to go. The Raptors are well in this game. As we progress into the second half, the third quarter here, I'm thinking that at this point in the game, the Raptors just need to keep it close going into the fourth quarter, and they got that talent to take down the 76ers team. Regardless of the records, I don't care. This Raptors team is different than the record shows, but Philly are the team that come out of the gates hot in the third quarter. It's pretty typical of this Raptors team to really struggle out of the halftime break, but pick it up later in the third quarter, and that's exactly what we saw here. Philadelphia roll out quickly to a 61-52 advantage, and the Raptors, who slowly started chipping away with timeouts, still couldn't quite get back in the game, and Philly continued to pile on the points, eventually going up 72-59. The Raptors needed buckets, and Chris Boucher got tossed in the game, who had no points in the first half, and Chris Boucher was a man possessed in this one. He hit an open 3 because the Philadelphia 76ers just dared him to shoot. The game eventually got to 82-71 for the Philadelphia 76ers, and Chris Boucher was left open for a second 3, and he knocked it down from pretty much the exact same spot as the first one. Then on the next play, Chris Boucher is left wide open for another 3, and Chris Boucher knocks down the third consecutive 3, and Chris Boucher is absolutely on fire, getting the Raptors right back into this game. One of the most high moments we've ever had on the live stream. The Philadelphia 76ers call a timeout to address what the hell is going on with Chris Boucher. How the hell is this guy hitting all these threes? Doc Rivers finally decides, okay, we didn't do our homework. We didn't go D up Chris Boucher, who's shooting 43% from 3 this season, but let's change that. All right, go D him up now. Don't let him shoot the 3 anymore. So few possessions later, the Raptors give the ball to Chris Boucher for 3. This time, very much covered. Tobias Harris absolutely smothers Chris Boucher, but you couldn't stop Chris Boucher in this quarter, despite Tobias Harris having a hand right up in his face. The Chris Boucher high release gets the shot off and still knocks down the 3. The Raptors eventually found themselves back in this game. It was from 82-71 for the 76ers, and all of a sudden it got to an 84-83 advantage only for that 76ers team. This Raptors team was right back in this game. All I wanted was them to be close for the fourth quarter. I was saying on stream, make it within 8, give yourself an opportunity to come back in the fourth, but they did better. They did even better than that. Now we move into the fourth quarter, and despite all the refereeing stuff, despite everything going on, the Raptors are 1 point behind the 76ers. And the Raptors come into this one with a 2-13 record when trailing after 3 quarters, but their most recent game against the Minnesota Timberwolves was one where they got one of those 2 wins. So the Raptors came into this one, maybe with a little bit of confidence after beating the Bucks twice and beating the Minnesota Timberwolves. And the Raptors really take over this fourth quarter, something they've been doing pretty consistently over the last couple of weeks. The defense just absolutely turns on late in the third and for the entirety of the fourth quarter, and same story here. We smothered Joel Embiid on seemingly every single possession. Aaron Baines was spectacular on defense. He was part of the process of holding Joel Embiid, who averages 30 points a game, to 6 for 20 shooting from the field. And it wasn't just a defense on Joel Embiid. It was a defense on everybody, making the Sixers have to take some tough 3-pointers, clogging the paint for the likes of Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid. And the great defense turned into great transition offense for the Raptors. And with that great transition offense, we saw some fantastic ball movement by a lot of the players, but especially Fred VanVleet, who is really growing into a certified playmaker for the Toronto Raptors. It's very nice to see Fred VanVleet taking these playmaking strides and developing into this real point guard who can still put up 20 points per game. I mean, put up 23 points in this one and was spectacular all over the court, on defense, on offense, playmaking, shooting, getting to the rim, every endeavor of the game. The 76ers went 6 straight minutes without a field goal, and the Raptors seized the opportunity to take a big lead. And even with some mistakes down the stretch, even with some little bit mistakes in the clutch, the Raptors were already out to a big enough advantage. They were up 102-94. Eventually, the game finishes 110-103. Pascal Siakam himself also had 23 points, showing that yes, he can perform against good teams, contrary to people for some reason who don't think he can. He always does it, and Pascal Siakam is back. It seems like the Raptors are back to their best. They are above 500 after starting 2-8. In fact, the Toronto Raptors are ahead of the Boston Celtics in the NBA standings because they blew a 24-point lead to the Pelicans yesterday. So the Raptors, after all this adversity, all the trash talk, every other team laying it down who wants to see the Raptors fail, the Raptors are still here. The Raptors are here. They are above 500 for the first time this season. Lots of games left this season, but the Raptors, they are producing great offense in the half court. They're producing much better defense, and they're showing slightly more consistency, but consistency is what will be key for the Raptors if they want to have success in this Eastern Conference. Now let's move into our 3 key takeaways of the game. The first key takeaway is that this is a statement win against the top seed in the Eastern Conference. The Philadelphia 76ers came to this one with a 20-10 record. The Raptors came to this one with a 15-15 record, but they prove a point in this one. A lot of people had doubts over the Raptors. I mean, people called the game over in the first quarter. People called the game over in the second quarter. People called the game over in the third quarter. But the Raptors continuously rallied and got the buckets and played elite defense. And the defense has been winning them games in the fourth quarter, and it did it again here. Statement win again, just like the win over the Nets, just like the 2 over the Bucks, and now this win against the 76ers. Statement wins to show the NBA the Raptors are still here. They are still trying to compete for something this season. Second key takeaway is Chris Boucher's shooting. He shot 5 for 6 from 3 in this one, and teams continue to dare Chris Boucher to shoot. I mean, are they really not doing their homework? He came into the game against the 76ers shooting 43% from 3, yet still, probably because of the way he looks. He's lanky. We know that. But Chris Boucher, with the high release point, he's difficult to guard from 3. If you give him the space, he's going to knock down his 3s. And teams are not realizing it. And I'm all for it. Continue to leave him open. He's going to continue to put up points against your team. Chris Boucher has a very definitive shot at winning the MIP and the 6th Man of the Year award. Third key takeaway is that Fred VanVleet had another great game on offense, but I'm more concerned right now about the defense. Fred VanVleet is seriously making a case for first team all defense. He has been utterly sensational on defense with the deflections, with the steals. He's first in the NBA in deflections, one of the highest in steals in the NBA right now. He surely has a very good opportunity at making a first team all defense, especially, it's especially outstanding considering the fact that Fred VanVleet is like 6'0", 6'1", and he's doing all this on defense. He doesn't need size. Ben Simmons just guards other guards with his size, and that's why he looks so good on defense. Fred VanVleet is doing it with his intelligence and his basketball ability. That's the separation there. Make this guy an all-star. Make this guy an all-defense man. So that wraps it up for me for today. Let me know all of your thoughts and opinions on this game in the comments down below. Did you agree? Did you disagree with me? I want to hear all of your thoughts. But that wraps it up for me again. Thank you for watching. If you are still here, please like the video if you like to help us reach new people for the channel, and subscribe to Amateur Sports for more content just like this. We do a ton of videos like this one. We do a ton of live streams like the one we did last night and the one we are going to do tomorrow night. So make sure you are there for the ride. Thank you so much for the 2,100 subscribers. We continue to push on. Let's try to hit 3K as soon as possible. Thank you again. At the end of the day, I believe what I say. If you disagree, that is okay. We'll see you again next time for another video.